It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from McEwan's and it's a bottle of their export. It's a Scottish export ale coming in at 4.5% ABV and it's been brewed for over 150 years. Well, they've got over 150 years of brewing history, McEwan. So maybe they haven't been brewing this particular beer for 150 years, but the brewery is. There's a look at the bottle cap. Beer in the glass then. Whoa, look at the smoke. Nice bit of smoke on the opening. Here we go. It's a nice colour actually. Just concentrating on getting all that beer into the glass a moment. It's not a bad colour. Chestnut coloured beer, good levels of carbonation, 2 fingers, slightly off-white head. It's not bottle conditions, it's quite a clear beer there. Let's get the aroma. Ooh, bit farty this one if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's a bit nutty as well, so combine that, yeah? Nutty and farty. It's like eating a big bag of blooming cashew nuts on a Friday night with a few beers and waking up in the morning and sticking your wife's head under the covers, you know, when you farted and you got to... Anyway, let's stop there. Yeah, it's a bit malty, it's a bit nutty, it's a bit farty, it's a bit... Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. I've had worse beers. Oh, actually, second taste was worse than the first. It's really coppery, farty in the aroma, coppery in the taste. When I say coppery, there's a few breweries in the UK. It's almost as if they throw loads of pennies in the bottom of a glass, and that's what it tastes like. It's like a dirty old copper. Handful of dirty old copper pennies being thrown into the glass of beer. It was probably a fantastic beer going back in the years. It was probably, because it would have had to have been, because if this beer is world renowned, then it would have had to have been good to be world renowned. Things don't just happen where people drink this in America or Australia or Germany or wherever it's been exported to around the world. They don't just start drinking it because it's a bad beer. Once upon a time, this would have been a cracking pint. For it to have been able to gain the reputation that it has today, to be able to ship it around the world. It's just a real shame then that over the years it's probably been, because this is the first time I've drunk it, this is probably a shadow of its former self. It's probably the same colour, it probably looks the same, but it just gets terrorised by these big regional breweries. And I'm going to go quickly into the story of this because I was very, very late to know. I didn't know this at all. It just slipped underneath my nose. But let's start at the start. A few years ago, Wells & Youngs bought McEwan's. I knew about that one. They bought McEwan's and they were going to talk about improving McEwan's Champion. Okay, great. It was a pretty poor beer. Improve it, brilliant. And then, I think it was May this year, and I only found this out because I was doing the McEwan's Champion Whiskey Edition about a month ago. I uploaded it to YouTube, and there was a comment there saying, Marston's now own Wells and Youngs, who own McEwan's. And I thought, I gotta Google this, I gotta check this out. Did this happen? And sure enough, Googled it up, Marston's Brewery bought Wells and Youngs, the owner of McEwan's, back in May 2017. It's now November of 2017. And I thought to myself, wow, that's a pretty big deal, because they're a big brewery, Wells and Youngs, and they only bought McEwan's a few years ago. But Wells and Youngs have kept all their pubs in the south of England and France, I hear. But Marston's probably haven't had time yet to influence this particular beer. I don't think they would have had. It's only been 6 months, so they probably haven't had time to do it yet. But this has got the flavour and aroma of a Marston's Burton Bitter or something like that. So a poor quality beer from Marston's. And I didn't mean this to happen. This is a McEwan's export review, but this is a little rant at Marston's now, because over the last 10, 15 years, they've become a pretty big establishment of Marston's. Pretty kind of shockingly so. Even they've taken over from the old guard, if you like. Who were they? Bass. They're your kind of 2017 version of Bass. They're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. From Witchwood to Jennings to they own so many breweries. Wells and Youngs to Thwaites. They own Thwaites Brewery now. I'm thinking of the one brewery down the Old Thumper. Who makes that beer, Old Thumper? Down, oh, you know the beer, Old Thumper. Comment in the comments box. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, they own that brewery. Ringwood Brewery. They own a vast amount of breweries now, and they now own McEwan's and Wells and Youngs and Thwaites, and I'm thinking to myself, this company's bloody huge. And their beers, for me, they're dreadful. Their beers are absolutely dreadful. I don't know why they're buying different breweries and making their... Because they ruined Witchwood. Witchwood's Hobgoblin was once a tremendous beer, and they've ruined that now. It's a shadow of its former self. Anyway, so without meaning to turn this into a whole Marston's thing, because I do have a thing for Marston's. I'm not their biggest fan. McEwan's export, 4.5% ABV, kind of tastes like a Marston's beer. And my question to you guys is, if you've drunk this beer over the years, how much has it changed? And more importantly, in the last 6 months since Marston's bought this brewery, have they changed the recipe of McEwan's export? Rating on this rather poor beer then. It looks alright, pretty decent lacing, smells a bit farty, tastes a bit like copper pennies in the bottom of a glass with some malt. It's a very, very poor for me, 4 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10 from Reload Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! And cheers.